Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to look at a scenario where Russia invades the European part of NATO. Now, the reason why I said European is because we're not going to be including other major allies or members like the US, Canada, their members, or major supporters like South Korea, Japan, all of that. So just the European part. So let's actually start, but we're just going to draw on the front lines in Ukraine, just so it's more realistic, because it would probably be a little less realistic without the front lines in Ukraine. So, also, I have a question for you guys. If you would like me to actually continue editing the videos a little bit, like I did on my Europe's Future series, you could just tell me to, because I have too much free time, honestly. But I'm kind of I don't like editing, but it's good enough. So because I really want to get to 4,000 watch hours, so I can actually get paid for what I do. Because I'm kind of wasting my time on this, I guess, because I don't want to go to college when I'm a little bit older. But yeah, let's actually start with the video. So with the front lines in Ukraine drawn, let's start. So Moldova is going to be automatically on NATO's side. Same with Ukraine. And Belarus is automatically going to go to Russia's side. And Serbia is also going to come on Russia's side. And Hungary too. Actually, Hungary got a new prime minister. So actually not Hungary. But yeah, Russia goes, okay, fine. So let's say a Belarusian and Polish skirmish happens over here, and attack 1 equals all. So, NATO activated? No! So immediately Russia will pump in all of its reserve, all of its military into Ukraine, and they will go flabbergasting all the way through Ukraine, and they will also drop a freaking nuclear bomb on Ukraine. And also, another rule is, in this video, nuclear bombs can only be used on excess countries, not like excess countries like Ukraine. They're not officially in NATO. We just put them here because they would automatically be. Same with Moldova. And NATO can also use nuclear bombs on countries like Serbia or Belarus. So that's also another thing. So Russia is blitzing through Ukraine absolutely right now because it's all of their reserve, and we all know Ukraine has an issue with their manpower. They don't have enough manpower for this war, and their defenses might actually break in the next year or this year. Also, Russia just gains all of Ukraine, and Moldova does not exist anymore. Russia's making quick advances into Poland, and this is proving to be an issue for Russia, as there is 3 million troops sitting on Poland's border. And Poland is good at managing logistics, and same with Slovakia for some reason. And Poland has experience with the Russians, so they're going to be able to push back the Russians. Also, with their crazy drinks, they're going to encircle 10,000 Russians, and they're going to start pushing back Russia. Keep in mind that this is obviously a NATO collaborative effort. It's not just Poland doing this, otherwise I would probably be called insane in the comments. So Russia just takes back all of Ukraine, and it's looking like Russia might win, but they obviously won't, because that's literally how every single NATO versus Russia video goes. Also, Kaliningrad, kind of in trouble, fortress, but they're really surrounded by other NATO countries. They're really trying their best to put up a fight, and they are actually putting up a very good fight, as these NATO countries are losing around tens of thousands of soldiers. They have lost 20,000 in that operation alone, taking Kaliningrad. So Belarus is also about to get jumped by NATO because it can. And NATO has 32 countries in Europe, if you include Moldova and Ukraine. So they can do more than one front. Also, Serbia gets obliterated, and Belgrade is captured. And actually, Serbia manages to hold out, and they even start to liberate some of their areas. Okay, not that much. Serbia's not that strong. Let's be honest here. I'm just saying. They even start to go into familiar lands such as Kosovo and capture all of Kosovo. And Serbia is now officially about to be cooked because Romania is going to take a huge push, but Romania can't really focus all its army here because Russia, and they're also struggling with Russia's front line. So actually, Serbia is going to manage to hold out, but Bulgaria does also make advances, and even turning Serbia into basically nothingness. Also, Belgrade is recaptured by the outside forces. Bosnia decides to make a push. Serbia just pushes them out. Their claims in Kosovo are almost completely gone, and yikes. Serbia is cooked. So, Serbia is encircled, and Serbia doesn't exist anymore. That's more realistic than just uh, this. Than just Serbia getting obliterated. So, Romania can now focus more of its army over here. They're even going to do some damage to Russia, even though their army is much smaller than Russia's army. They just have way better logistical managing than Russia because Russia sucks at managing their stuff, let's be honest. So it's going to be a decisive push, but Romania isn't going to do this hand free as they do lose those grounds, but they do manage to hold off the Russians in the case of protecting their own country, as they don't want the Russians to do this. Also, this is this effort to hold off Russia is also uh, Romania, Bulgaria, parts of people from Istanbul, all coming to protect Romania. So it's not just Romania, if you can't tell already. So also, the push into Belarus starts to become more effective as Finland also makes a push, and also helps its friend Estonia get very close to St. Petersburg, and Finland takes a push into the Kolan Peninsula. What did I just call it? Whatever. Into this peninsula, and then they will capture the whole thing, and they encircle around two troops. Wow, what a big achievement, Finland. Wow. Okay, I'll stop. So, it's not looking too good, Russia. I think you might need to focus. But this is 32 countries, so they can focus on multiple fronts, such as the Serbia front. Wait, I need to really do a different color. They can focus on the Serbia front, the Ukraine front, actually, the Belarus and Ukraine front, the Kaliningrad front, and the Finland front. So honestly, NATO's doing pretty good right now. Also, Russia is about to start getting pushed back heavily by NATO, as Russia also has to keep their ground in Ukraine, supply Belarus, and with their terrible logistical management, I don't think that Russia even has a chance of winning this war. Also, Belarus is now about to start getting slapped even more due to Russia having to pull more troops and more resources from Belarus to help itself. And Minsk is captured. Belarus stays to exist, and then they hold a front line. Just keep in mind that there is literally no Belarusian alive now in the world. So actually, that's kind of crazy to think about because now there's no Belarusians in this world. So Russia gets pushed back even more because Russia. So this is even more embarrassing because the Russian people thought that they would actually win this war due to the beginning of the war. And now it's starting to show that Russia has lost way more land than they have gained. And Russia's going to start to kind of retreat a little bit. So the Russian population is going to see this as whoa, aren't we supposed to be the third strongest country in the world? And NATO attempts to encircle these 10,000 troops, but they're very, very close to, and they basically did already because Russia can't supply them like that. And then they officially encircle them. So, Russian population says this, and they're like, sees this, and they're like, we're fed up with your bullshit. So, these slowly but surely do get crushed by NATO, and then Russia has gained no land in this war. Yikes, this is not good. In fact, they're now about to lose some of their claimed land, but Russia's going to put up a really bloody battle over this because they don't want their population to know that they are losing more land than they have previously gone before the war, so the population doesn't do anything about it. So Russia still is putting up a good fight for this land, but compared to the NATO army, it's not that much. Also, now Russia has officially hit the 1 million soldiers dead, and NATO has hit the 700,000. So this is actually a very bloody war. And also, due to the linguistic stuff, NATO is actually having a little bit of a hard time doing what they're doing right now, as they cut off the Crimea Kherson invasion from the rest of the Russian invasion. Now they're actually starting to take Russian land, not occupied Russian land. Crimea is like annexed into Russia now. And same with a little bit of Donetsk and Luhansk. NATO takes a very effective and not costly thing over here, and Russia has now officially gained no land in this war. And NATO starts to push into this illegally annexed Crimea, but at a high cost, as in total they lose 20,000 troops taking Crimea, and they do lose about 25,000 troops taking this, and now it's starting to get to the core Russian land. Not illegally annexed, not previously Ukrainian, core Russian land. Also, yikes, you just saw what just happened. St. Petersburg is now renamed to a NATO military base. So, NATO starts to go full push, and also Finland doesn't invade that area because why? Like, there's no Russians even there to defend it, so if you invaded it, there's no point. Because why would you invade it, like I just said? There's no reason to. So Finland actually does something very smart, and they cut off supply lines, which is probably not much, maybe just some oil, from the rest of Russia all the way here, because Russia is not defending this as well as they should be, and NATO starts to see, wait, we're geniuses. Russia starts to see, wait, they're encircling us. Also, tanks through mountains. Yay! So Russia's almost completely encircled, and Russia is encircled. Russia basically does not exist in other places. This is basically Russia. All of this that's encircled right now is Russia. Is like mainland Russia. So there's about 1.5 million Russian troops over here, as again, this is like core Russian territory, and Russia starts to see that obviously they're not going to win. But just this is like 1.5 million soldiers packed into this little small pocket. They're not going to lose. That fast, but they are eventually going to. And NATO starts taking very, 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 very big losses. Now NATO has lost 2 million troops. They only have around 1.2 million troops left, while this encirclement now has 1.3, but it doesn't matter as NATO does have a little bit of a logistical advantage, and that these millions of troops are encircled, actually in squared. So, oh my god, this is a very, very bloody battle for Moscow. And the battle of Moscow, like Moscow, starts. And Putin is still there because where else could he go? Everything else is NATO. There are around 900,000 troops left in this, and for NATO, there's about 1.1 million. And Moscow falls to NATO troops. Now, there's really no peace treaty for this, so I guess all I have to say is, bye guys.